All the hustle and hullabaloo of the holidays has passed, and perhaps you have found yourself staring at a computer screen and a bank account wondering how on earth you overspent, you busted the budget. Fear not, my friend. If the golden mole can come back from extinction, you can bounce back from overspending during the holidays. Today's video is sponsored by Mistplay. We're going to talk about them a little bit more later. Don't beat yourself up, right? The first rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club. Well, the first rule of bouncing back from overspending is don't beat yourself up. Don't fight yourself. I don't know, that didn't work, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's just like when you go through your house and you want to declutter things and you just feel guilty and you're like, well, I spent the money on this, and it's like this sunk cost, right? There's nothing you can do about it. You've already spent the money. Instead of wallowing around and beating ourselves up or feeling sorry for ourselves or being angry at ourselves, we have to just like bounce right over that temptation because, well, we can't bounce back if we're just sitting there simmering in a little pot of our feelings about it. Now, of course, we need to address and take a look at what are the reasons that we overspent during the holidays. Did we not accurately budget? Did we think that we were going to be able to get the things we needed and for less and it cost more in the end? Did we not save as much for Christmas as we thought or that we knew that we were going to need? There are lots of reasons why we end up overspending during the holidays, and it's not uncommon. Many families face post-holidays. Let's face it, again, with social media, everything looks bigger, better, grander. Can often feel the need to sort of meet our regular Christmas plans and traditions and needs, but exceed them and do bigger, better, more. And that can cause us to end up overspending, breaking the budget, getting ourselves further into debt when that's the last thing we want to do. But again, hope, okay? I have lots of great advice and tips for you in this video. We need to look at this like with facts and analytics and as little emotion as we can in order to course correct and get back to where we would like to be and even farther. Now, obviously, the first thing you want to do when you've exceeded your budget is to just put a pause on any spending that is not necessary. Pause on any fun spending, extra spending, anything like that. And really, obviously, you still have to buy groceries. You got to keep your power on, all of that stuff. But just drill down to the very basics of things and hit pause on any other extra spending until we get this thing under control. And it might not be, you might not have busted your budget all that badly, right? But we still want to get a handle on things, make sure we understand and have that data to drive our decisions to know how we got there and how we can get out. Now's the part where we actually like assess the damage. We're going to examine the crime scene. We're going to assess the damage. We're going to figure out, how did we get here? Where were the mistakes? If you are good at keeping a budget, if you use an Excel spreadsheet or a Google spreadsheet or anything that really keeps your budget all nice and tidy and tight, that is awesome. Those kind of resources are great and they will help you to see exactly where you overspent. If you don't do anything like that, then you're going to want to like print your statements, get your credit card statements. If you want to gather all of that information into one place so that you can distill it down and break it down and look at the different categories of your budget and where you went over, where you overspent. Was it food? Was it gifts? Was it outings, events? Was it the gifts you threw in the cart for yourself along the way? You know, sometimes we're our own worst enemies. I use a few different things for this because I have kind of like my personal and business stuff. So I do utilize like Google Sheets and Excel spreadsheet type things to track literally every penny. I've also shared with y'all many times before about Rocket Money and how they will help you, especially if you're working with like a very basic budget, categories for gas and food, clothing and school, or like whatever your categories are. You can set those up in your Rocket Money and it's going to help you keep a real-time track of that. So I love Rocket Money for budgeting purposes. There's so many different ways that you can track this. If you are not already doing this, then I would absolutely put that on your list for 2024 of things that you want to get better at because, well, we can't fix what we don't know. We have to have the data and the information. And a lot of us tend to like hide from those things we don't want to. We don't want to know. It makes us feel bad. We don't want to think about it. But that's part of #adulting is that we have to face these things and we have to be able to look at them as the unemotional things that they are, the numbers. It's data, it's information, it's numbers. And the more that we can train ourselves to view money like that, then the better we're going to get at budgeting, sticking to our budget, and not making emotional purchases later as well. We've got to kind of uncouple the emotion from the money, the budget, all of that, because it's just a thing, a resource, just like anything else. Most of us don't get emotional about things like water or power. Those are resources, so is money. So we've got to get it in that like right frame of mind so we can treat it with the respect, but the amount of emotion that it truly deserves, and make better decisions moving forward. Now you have an honest snapshot of what's happening. Now you need a plan. Remember, we're being very unemotional about this. So what's the plan? What's the battle plan? And this is where you're going to look at kind of all of your options for course correcting and see what makes the most sense for you, what's actually doable for you. This is where I highly encourage realism, lots of being very realistic with yourself about what's possible, what are the needs of your family, your lifestyle. It's very easy to say, like, I'm not going to spend any money ever at all except for anything food. That's it. I'm going to buy food and pay for my power, and that's it. But the reality is, like, if you got kids and they've got sports, there's always going to be these extra expenses. So this is where being like brutally honest and realistic with ourselves is also very important, because as much as I enjoy like the budgeting, finance talk and conversations, and I listen to a lot of those gurus and stuff, I'm a firm believer that we have but one precious life to live, and I'm not going to live it every day like scrimping and scraping and then like giving it far more attention than it deserves in our overall picture of our life, our happiness, our joy, that kind of thing. We need a plan. Obviously, your plan is going to be individual to you. A little piece of like advice from myself over the years, the things I've learned, is to prioritize how you're going to course correct. Meaning, if I have put things on a credit card, go through and make sure you are well aware of what are the interest rates on those credit cards. Some of your credit cards will have shockingly, I mean, all credit cards have high interest rates, but some will have shockingly high interest rates. So you're going to want to look at that. Where can you make the most headway? Where can your money go the farthest by likely paying down those really high interest credit cards first? If you took some money from savings and you need to replenish that, you need to kind of prioritize where you went wrong, quote unquote, where things went off the tracks with your budget, and then prioritize the fixing of those things by what is going to actually get done, what's going to make the biggest impact, and what's going to save you money along the way in the long run, right? That's, thinking about the interest rates and stuff. That can make it really feel like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. If you're getting added, $200 of interest to your account every month, you're going to want to take care of that high interest stuff first. And now maybe you're thinking, but Angie, I don't have extra money to pay down these credit cards and stuff right now. That's why I use them in the first place. Well, my friend, that's where I have got some cool things to share with you. I'm going to share with you some ideas for freeing up money as well as bringing in extra money to your household to help you bounce back and recover. There are lots of ways that you can do this.
But before we do that, I want to share today's video sponsor, Mistplay.
Mistplay is the leading loyalty app for mobile game users. What I love about this is that if you're someone who really enjoys playing games on your phone, if it's something that you do to pass the time, to relax, whatever your reasons are for enjoying playing games on your phone, you can actually be rewarded for doing that. You can earn gift cards for playing these new games and trying them out through Mistplay. They have a huge catalog of mobile games across all different kinds of categories. If you like puzzle games, word games, strategy games, they have all kinds of games in their catalog that you can play. And through playing these games, you're going to earn points, and you can redeem those points for gift cards to places that you are likely already shopping and perhaps buying even your monthly necessities and stuff from places like Amazon, Walmart. You can do Visa gift cards, Xbox, PlayStation, lots of places that you are likely already spending money, and you can get gift cards to those stores with your rewards points from playing games on Mistplay. So it's a great way to discover and play new games that maybe you've never heard of or never played before in categories of games and types of games that you already enjoy, but you're also earning points that you can redeem for gift cards. I mean, come on.
I'm a little old school, I guess, but I really love playing solitaire. I absolutely adore the graphics. They're fun and they add a really neat element to a traditional game of solitaire. I highly recommend you try this one.
If you want to give it a try, then you can visit missplay.com/Angela. I'll put everything down below in the description box for you as well. But you can go there and download Missplay for free, and you get 200 bonus points for signing up today. Plus, you can use my code inside the app, and that's going to get you an additional 50 points for free. Be sure to see the description for all of the full details on that. I've also shared with you guys before about Swag Bucks, where you can take surveys. I've shared with you about Rakuten, where if you're already making purchases, so let's say you're sticking in your budget and you're making purchases for necessary or needed items through Rakuten, you're going to get a percentage back on those different websites. So there's lots of those kinds of ways to take things that either you're already doing to get a little cash influx back in. Those are more options that we have now because of technology, but there's also still the old school kind of ways of finding ways to monetize, make a little bit of money from your hobbies, from the things that you enjoy doing. Do you know how to knit? Can you crochet? Can you make things? Could you set up an Etsy shop and sell some custom things that you make? Do you have a Cricut machine that you can make some custom baseball caps or something? Another great idea is that in January, as you're starting to go through and declutter things, there are times when it does make more sense just to donate and, trash certain things, but donate other things. You may think about looking at these items as things that you can sell. If you're trying to recoup money, everyone's going to have sort of a lower threshold for this. I am willing to go through the hassle of selling this thing on Facebook Marketplace or whatever, so long as I can make at least $50 or at least $20. Everyone's going to have a threshold on that, but I would highly encourage you to look into that. Clothing items that you've outgrown, well, by outgrown, I mean maybe style-wise, maybe physically outgrown, happens to all of us, but whatever the reason is, or maybe you've undergrown them, you've ingrown them, they're too big for you now, who knows? Selling items like that on Poshmark is another great way to bring in money. I've been very surprised by how quickly I've been able to kind of move and sell some things through Poshmark. So it's very easy to use and set up. I would highly recommend that, especially if you're going through and decluttering and getting rid of things. There's lots of different ways that you can sell items that you perhaps do not want or need anymore as well, just to recoup from that overspending. The good news is here is that we're addressing holiday overspending. This is not like trying to do like this huge financial overhaul. That's a whole different level of like sacrifice that needs to be made, major things that need to be done. This is addressing holiday overspending where you likely went a little over budget by a few $100s, maybe more, I don't know. But it's something that you can likely recover from relatively quickly. And when we talk about freeing up money, this is also a great time to take a look at what recurring expenses you have. What is coming out of your account every month? Again, if you are a member of Rocket Money, they will cancel recurring expenses for you. They actually have a little category in their budget that says, these are your recurring expenses. Do you want to cancel them? But going through your bank account, making sure you're aware of what's coming up, especially if you've bought something on an annual plan, those are the ones that get me. It's not the monthly. It's the when I sign up for a service or something, I decide to get the discount by doing the annual instead of the monthly, and then I forget when it's time for that annual to renew, and it's often a large sum of money because it's, well, over the course of a year instead of a month. Those are the ones that always get me. This is again why like the knowledge, the data, the information about our budget is so critical to know. I just want to say one thing, because oftentimes videos like this can feel like you're being talked to by a financial expert or whatever. I think by now you know that that's not what I am. I am sharing information with you that has truly helped me over the years. My husband and I have not always been good with money. We've not always made the best financial decisions. We've also made a lot of decisions that I don't regret, and on paper, they weren't smart financial decisions. But in our hearts, we knew they were the right things. And I'm talking about things like our adoptions and how expensive adoption is. I have no regrets about that. I took out an equity line on our house to help pay for our adoption. I have no regrets about that. It would go against every bit of financial advice that we've ever been given. I don't care. I have no regrets about it. It was absolutely the right thing to do. I'd leverage anything on earth I had for my children. So, with that said, I am not preaching at you. I'm telling you the things that have worked for me and helped me to bounce back. And I just feel like the spiral of shame that we can get into about these things, especially the older we get, when we feel like we should know better and we shouldn't fall victim to those things and we feel kind of embarrassed with ourselves about it. Shame is a useful emotion at times, but most of the time that tinge of shame is just meant to propel you to make change. So if you feel propelled to make change, let go of the shame. Ooh, that's like a slogan-y thing. I love it when I rhyme unintentionally. I feel very Dr. Seussy. You can obviously do more of the traditional things, take extra shifts at work. I've actually done a whole video about legit ways to make extra money as a stay-at-home mom. I am a firm believer, it's because it's something I've always done. Prioritizing being home with my kids mattered more to me than anything else, but I needed to help contribute to our family financially because we were newlyweds. We got married very young, we started having kids very young, but my kids were my priority in being home with them and raising them. So I've always found ways to get creative with making money on the side. And so I will link that video down below in the description box if you want more ideas for ways to make money. If y'all like that, I'm happy to do another video with even more of those kinds of ideas for you, because there are legit ways, right? It's not all smoke and mirrors and lies and tricks, but you do have to know how to see through the smoke and mirrors to the legit opportunities to make money versus the things that are just scams in the end. With all of that said, we have to look forward because we can't go back. We can't change the past. All we can do is make a decision to make changes today and then cast forward to what are we going to do moving forward. Well, obviously, we know that there's certain things in our budget that just didn't work for the holidays this year. Well, now we have a whole nother year until the holidays come around. What can you do to ensure that this doesn't happen again the next Christmas, the next holiday season? Is it possible for you to incorporate into your budget to start purchasing Christmas gifts little by little throughout the course of the year? Are there ways that you can put money into account at your bank that you're only allowed, like one of those changeover accounts that you're only allowed to draw from a couple of times to hopefully avoid the temptation to pull money out of it? A place that you can kind of safely squirrel away your money for your Christmas budget for next year. Whether it's purchasing ahead of time, being a little bit more realistic with ourselves about what the Christmas budget needs to be, or maybe we don't need to increase the budget, we need to decrease the spending. Maybe your budget is realistic and it's just the temptations that are taking us over. Or maybe your budget isn't realistic and you do need to increase it a little bit and you need to cover for that, right? I can't know your specific situation. For most of us, depending on what financial situation you're in, just decreasing the budget, preparing better, purchasing gifts throughout the year as you see them, including that in your regular monthly budget, especially if you've got a lot of kids and stuff, it just piles up like a car crash all at the end of the year. Anything you can do to hedge your bets to protect yourself from the same thing happening again next year is obviously the best move, the thing that you want to do. Now you have a realistic picture, a snapshot, a plan moving forward, some ideas for how to course correct, and hopefully be better prepared next year for holidays and holiday spending.
Let's make this love last till Valentine's. Let's spend this night together. Let this fire burn inside.